Hi everyone, welcome to the CCAS update. I'm James and welcome to this short video on LinkedIn content and the posting of content on LinkedIn. I did a bigger video, my sort of secret networking tips of LinkedIn. I'll put a link to that in the comments below. And one of the areas that I touched on in that longer, more thorough video was posting and content, building a network and then actually giving them some sense of what you're interested in and what you do. I had some questions back on that. People have contacted me asking a few specific things, and it's an area that over the years I think a lot of people I speak to have struggled with anyway, including myself. And I'm by no means perfect in it, but I've got some way towards being better and getting more engagement. I have a lot more inbound interest, leads and business coming towards me, and people refer to the content that I create when they're saying, look, this is the reason that we're getting in touch with you. So in this short video, I want to share a few key things with you that I think are really important when it comes to having a content strategy. And then at the end, I'm going to come on to one thing that I think is absolutely crucial in whatever content you're creating. So stay tuned for that. So we're going to go through my thoughts on a content plan, what to post, when to post, how frequently, scheduling, things like that, and the LinkedIn algorithm and what that can then mean for the content you're posting as well. And then finally, we'll come on to that final key, absolutely critical thing that you need to be thinking about when you're creating content for LinkedIn. So let's start with thoughts on content and content planning. So in the video that I mentioned earlier, I think you want to use all the different channels that LinkedIn gives you from a point of view of content. Yes, you can do a standard post. You can try and make some of your posts what people call more long form. So actually get a bit more detail in there. That gives people a little bit more context, something more interesting to get their teeth into. And you can obviously try short form posts as well if you've just got a quick point to make and something's just occurred to you and you want to get it out there into the world. Those are probably more useful kind of once you're up and running. Really, the long form posts are better for you because you want to think about this as you're presenting what you know, what you feel about the market that you operate in, things that you're engaged with. And so the more space you can do that with, the better, really. Images, photos, memes, whatever. It used to be that those posts got less views, and I think that was because of the devices that people were viewing LinkedIn on. Now the majority of people are viewing it on their phones, and actually with better internet connections, those videos and things uploading or images uploading are less of an issue. Actually, it now looks like posts with images, as long as they're relevant and there's a point, actually get more views, and some images themselves will drive more engagement. And it is worth thinking about that. There's a difference, right? There's views and their engagement. A lot of people will think that views is what really matters. 100,000 people have seen my post, but how many people have actually engaged with it or responded to it? And then that comes on to, did you ask them to? Was it a question? Was there a call to action in there? Because actually LinkedIn really favors engagement. Posts that are just created to be viral and get seen and get shared because of some shock value or clickbait value, LinkedIn tends to downgrade. They're looking at a balance with engagement, and that comes onto the algorithm that we'll talk about a bit later. In terms of content then, long form posts, images are great. Polls, use the poll if you've got something where you actually want some network engagement, a little bit of like research. That could be really helpful in then perhaps creating your next post, because whatever the outcome of that is, whether it's what you expected or what you didn't expect, you can then talk about that and invite comment on that as well. Then articles or individual so one-off newsletter type things. You don't need to commit to writing something on a weekly, fortnightly or monthly basis, but longer form articles that really dig into your knowledge and are your opportunity to present to the world, to your network. Use all of those. I plan things out in my calendar. I then have a whiteboard just up behind my screens here that I quickly sketch ideas on when they come to me, so I can kind of get them out of my head and somewhere. A notebook would be be just as good as well. Anything so you can get those ideas down. You don't lose a single one, because you'll come up to a point when you'll think, right, I need to be posting something today, and you'll have writer's block, total mental blank. So then being able to refer back to that is great. So have your resource, your notes there, and use all of those channels really. Then you should be posting 3 to 4 times a week. Now you can use a scheduling tool. I talked before about Adobe. They have a scheduling tool that I use. I use it mainly for weekends. Although that said, that is changing, and I'll come on to why a little bit later as well. But you can use something like that if you find you've got time to write content perhaps earlier in the week, but you obviously want to phase it out over the whole week. And then really you want to be thinking about your audience and when they're engaging with LinkedIn as well. So my audience is global, so therefore I can post things very early in the morning, UK time, and perhaps my network in India are still picking up on that at quite a reasonable time of day. Then it's kind of there when UK people are coming into work, but it's probably missing out on a lot of the US connections, Canada and stuff that I have, because it'll be swamped by the content by then. So sometimes I need to post content later in the day if it is more aimed towards my North American network, and kind of accept that the UK and European network are probably going to miss that then as well, which is why it is worth sometimes reposting your own content with some further comments at a different time from the time you originally posted it, so that as many people as possible are seeing it. And this is an absolutely crucial tip that a lot of content creators will give you. When you've taken time to create a piece of content, and I'll be doing it with this video as well, make sure you're sharing it more than once and you're using it in as many different ways as possible, because there's value in it. And if you're just putting it out there once and someone who could find it valuable misses it for whatever reason, then that's a missed opportunity. You need to give people the chance to see the content you're creating as much as possible without it becoming spam. The LinkedIn algorithm, this mystical thing that happens in the background that no one truly understands, but we do know some clear things about it. I know a content creator that used to get like 100,000 views and loads of engagement on almost every post they did. Then, in their eyes, that crashed. And now they're probably sub 10,000 on every post they make. There is definitely shadow banning that goes on from LinkedIn for people that are just, as I said in the previous section, creating content that's designed to attract a lot of views, but isn't necessarily getting a lot of engagement as a relative proportion. You are going to be subject to some negative impacts from the LinkedIn algorithm if you do a couple of things. One is if you post links in there to other sites. So you might have your own blog. I've obviously got this YouTube channel. If I was to put a link to that in the post, LinkedIn, because it wants people to stay on their site, will push that post down. Not as many people will get to see it. This is why you'll increasingly see people saying link in the comments below on LinkedIn, because then the algorithm doesn't pick that up in the same way, but you're still not massively popular. So if I leave it for a while and do lots of posts on LinkedIn that keep people on LinkedIn, that aren't asking to go anywhere else or do anything else, that are referring to other posts on LinkedIn, that are including other content creators on LinkedIn, my views and engagement will go up purely because more people will be shown it by LinkedIn. Then I can put in a link to some of my YouTube videos and it's not so bad. If I do that a few times in a row, the views and the engagement go down. And that's not because people aren't looking, but it's just because they're not being shown it. YouTube itself has a similar algorithm, but with LinkedIn, as we're talking about here, you need to be aware of this. So if you're going to link people to a YouTube channel, a blog, anything that's external to LinkedIn, don't put it in the post, put it in the comments. Going back to my previous section, post schedulers like Adobe and stuff make that really difficult. So you aren't properly able to do that. And that limits the sorts of things you're able to use those schedulers for, which is why, coming on to something I mentioned before, I've started using them less. And I'm now actually posting my own content on Saturday evenings, on Sunday evenings, when some people are logged into LinkedIn just for some interest, just to see what's happening. And that's when stuff like YouTube content or blog content can do really well, because people don't have time in the middle of their work day to watch this, but they might have 10 minutes on a Saturday evening where they choose to do something just to kind of get their brain in work gear ready for Monday or whatever. So you do need to be aware of how that algorithm is working. And this leads on to another key point around the algorithm, is stay positive when you're posting. When you start posting stuff, particularly if you're growing your network, your engagement and your views are going to be small. That's natural. That is going to happen. If you consistently post 3 to 4 times a week and you are connecting with people, it will grow organically. You just have to have faith in the system, have faith in the process. It will get there. Some posts you'll put out there, I did one recently and it just absolutely took off. And I can honestly tell you, I don't know why. I couldn't replicate the formula of that. Even if I repeated it exactly, I don't think it would do exactly the same thing. Then there's other posts that I put out there that I'm really proud of, that I think have loads of value, and I just want everyone to see, because I think this could really be important, and it just doesn't take off. Okay, final section. The crucial thing that you need to bear in mind when you're creating any content for LinkedIn, your kind of North Star, if you like. When you're creating something, look at it from this perspective. I want to create something that someone in my network will want to share with their network, because it makes them look engaged, intelligent, or like they somehow know what's happening in the world. It's interesting, it's relevant. So if you are creating a post and it is designed to be funny, and you've got a joke on there that's really relevant for your network, it's kind of a bit of an inside joke, fine, nothing wrong with that, and people will want to share that because people in their network will get a laugh from it as well. If you're sharing your perspective on something and you've got some unique insight from your experience and your knowledge, again, if people want to share that with their network because it shows a different perspective on something that perhaps their network can't get from anywhere else, great. Perhaps there's some data that that you're able to, legally able to share, that helps people in terms of research or understanding. Again, great. So always think about, is my target audience going to want to share it with their network? Because then those people are likely to seek you out and follow you, comment on your posts and articles, and become part of your network. The alternative is you're posting something that you're kind of commenting because you want to, somewhat for your own benefit, and people in your network might read that and say, okay, well, I understand that person's perspective on something, or something they're enjoying, or something they're looking forward to, but why do I need to share that? Why do I need to interact with it? An example might be, I'm really looking forward to attending this trade event next week. Great. Does anyone else care? Unless you're one of those people that are so important that other people will care that you're attending things, and those are few and far between. It doesn't really, people don't care. There's nothing wrong with those posts exactly if you want to put it in there just to let people within your network know that you're going. But you could frame that differently so that you're adding in some information so then other people would want to share it. And that's maybe the way to think about it. So it's absolutely crucial. It needs to be something you consider before you make every single piece of content, is why would my network want to share this with their network? It's the referral type system, and we all know how powerful those are. So if you do that with every piece of content you create, I guarantee your network will grow faster and you'll get more engagement, which is what we're looking for. Think about engagement. YouTube is going to put a video probably about here or somewhere that it thinks you're going to like, so please check that out. Also, do subscribe to the channel, do like this video, and comment if you've got any tips on content creation that you want to share, or you've got any questions. I will answer all of them. And of course, you can go and check out my LinkedIn network as well, and the CCAS update newsletter. And I will see you next time.